The world watched in disbelief as Rodrigo Duterte, once the untouchable strongman of the Philippines, was arrested in Manila on an international warrant for crimes against humanity. The moment was broadcast live, sending shockwaves through the nation and across the globe. For years, Duterte had ruled with an iron fist, defying critics and international pressure. But now he stood powerless, surrounded by law enforcement and flashing cameras. The International Criminal Court accused him of murder, torture, and other inhumane acts, citing his brutal anti-drug campaign and well-documented links to the notorious Davao Death Squad. Prosecutors presented evidence of thousands of extrajudicial killings, painting a grim picture of systematic violence and state-sponsored terror that had haunted the Philippines for years. Duterte's transfer to The Hague marked a stunning reversal for a leader who once dared the world to hold him accountable. As he boarded the plane under heavy guard, the world saw a man who had always boasted of his immunity, now facing the consequences of his actions on the international stage. The arrest, executed by Philippine police under President Marcos Jr., signaled a dramatic political shift and the end of Duterte's era of impunity. It was a bold move by the new administration, reflecting a commitment to justice and a willingness to confront the nation's troubled past. The ICC's case is built on chilling testimonies from former insiders, police officers, and survivors, offering hope of justice to thousands of victims' families. For many, this trial represents a long-awaited chance to have their voices heard and their suffering acknowledged on a global platform. For the first time in its history, the Philippines faced the world with a former president on trial for his darkest legacy, as millions watched and waited to see if justice would finally be served. Duterte's presidency will be remembered for a drug war waged with bullets, not compassion. Police and vigilantes, emboldened by Duterte's promises of protection, killed thousands, mostly poor small-time suspects, leaving families shattered and communities in fear. Cardboard signs marked victims as criminals, while Oplan Tokang turned slums into killing fields. The violence, modeled after Duterte's Davao City tactics, created a culture of impunity and eroded public trust in law enforcement. International condemnation was met with defiance, as Duterte framed the bloodshed as a necessary evil. But the true legacy is a nation haunted by unresolved deaths and a justice system in crisis. The once powerful Uniteam alliance between the Marcos and Duterte families quickly unraveled. President Marcos sidelined Vice President Sara Duterte, distanced himself from her father's policies, and pivoted toward the U.S., abandoning Duterte's pro-China stance. Cooperation with the ICC on Duterte's arrest was the ultimate betrayal, shattering the alliance and isolating the Dutertes. Rodrigo Duterte lashed out, deepening the rift and forcing political allies to choose sides. The formidable Duterte machinery weakened as loyalty shifted to Marcos. The arrest of Duterte marked the final collapse of the alliance, turning former partners into rivals. Philippine politics entered a new era of open power struggle. As her father faced a highly publicized trial that gripped the nation and drew international attention, Vice President Sara Duterte battled for her own political survival, navigating a storm of scandals over confidential funds, relentless media scrutiny, and mounting political pressure from both allies and rivals. The Marcos-dominated House of Representatives filed a dramatic impeachment petition against her, threatening not only to end her political career, but also to shatter her ambitions for the presidency and her family's legacy. The Duterte Dynasty's once unshakable power base began to crumble, even in their stronghold of Davao City, as supporters lost faith and public displays of loyalty faded. Meanwhile, Rodrigo Duterte, once a dominant force in local and national politics, quietly withdrew from public life and stepped away from local politics. The midterm elections became a tense referendum on the family's fading influence, with voters signaling a desire for change and new leadership. Rumors of assassination plots and conspiracies underscored the toxic rivalry, deep mistrust and growing paranoia gripping the nation's leadership. Once a figure of formidable power and influence, Sara Duterte now found herself increasingly isolated, vulnerable, and uncertain about her future in the shifting landscape of Philippine politics. The swift and dramatic fall of the Dutertes revealed the volatility and unpredictability that define the nation's political arena. Duterte's arrest and his family's decline marked a significant turning point in the Philippines' political landscape. This event sparked mixed reactions across the Philippines, with some celebrating the move towards justice while others remained skeptical. For victims' families and human rights groups, it was a long-awaited step toward accountability. Public protests were small, reflecting the erosion of Duterte's once massive support. The dwindling crowds at rallies and the removal of campaign posters signified a shift in public sentiment. Many Filipinos, weary of violence and division, seemed ready to move on. They resumed their daily routines, showing resilience and a desire for peace. The international community welcomed the Philippines' cooperation with the ICC, seeing it as a return to the rule of law. This cooperation was viewed as a crucial step in restoring faith in the judicial system. The nation now faces a test. Can it confront its darkest chapters and hold its leaders accountable for their actions? The demand for justice is loud and clear, echoing through the streets and halls of power. The trials ahead will shape the country's future and its democracy. The quest for justice is a fight for the soul of the nation, a battle that will define its legacy for generations to come.